It was 3 a.m. when the phone shattered the silence. Linda Lee answered on the fourth ring, still half in dreams, her mind foggy and heart unsteady. The voice on the other end was calm, measured but carried a weight that made her blood run cold. A doctor from Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Hong Kong. Bruce was there, working on his film while she sat miles away in Los Angeles with the children. He had called yesterday complaining of a headache, promising to see a doctor if it didn't ease. But now, this call came at the dead of night. "Mrs. Lee, I'm so sorry, but your husband, he's gone." It was 3 a.m. when the silence of Los Angeles was broken by the shrill ring of the telephone. Linda Lee stirred from restless sleep, her mind heavy with dreams she couldn't quite recall. On the fourth ring she reached for it, fingers trembling slightly, heart beating faster than the quiet rhythm of the night. The voice on the other end was calm, measured, professional, but carried a weight that made her chest tighten. "Mrs. Lee, I'm very sorry," said the doctor from Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Hong Kong. "Your husband? He passed away this evening." Linda froze, the words hovering in the air like smoke, refusing to settle. "Bruce? Gone?" Only yesterday he had called, complaining of a minor headache, promising he would see a doctor if it persisted. He was in Hong Kong filming, she was in Los Angeles with Brandon and Shannon, separated by thousands of miles, utterly powerless. The details didn't register at first. Brain edema, collapsed at a friend's apartment, nothing could be done. Her mind refused to process it. Bruce was 32, disciplined, invincible, so she had believed. Somewhere behind her, a small voice appeared in the shadows of the bedroom doorway. Brandon, 7 years old, eyes wide and frightened, drawn by the sound of her unsteady breathing. "Mom, what's wrong?" Linda could not answer. How do you explain to a child that the person who had taught him to ride a bike, to throw a ball, to believe in himself, was never coming home? Tears threatened, but she swallowed them, functioning on sheer instinct. Shannon, only 4, slept quietly in her room, unaware of the gravity settling over her family. By morning, the world had learned what she was still trying to grasp. Newspapers screamed the news in black and white. Bruce Lee, dead at 32. The Dragon Star dies in Hong Kong. Martial arts legend gone. The phone would not stop ringing. Friends, family, reporters, studio executives, all seeking confirmation, all sharing disbelief. Linda moved through the blur of calls, her mind a foggy corridor of grief. Every decision, every arrangement for the days ahead pressed upon her with relentless weight. Funeral, casket, flowers, the rituals of mourning. Yet beneath the shock, a hollow understanding began to form. This was no ordinary loss. Bruce had changed the world in ways that stretched far beyond their living room, far beyond the city, far beyond even their understanding. And in the quiet moments, when the house settled into an uneasy stillness, Linda realized that this night the phone call at 3 a.m. was the first crack in a world that would never look the same again. By sunrise, Los Angeles had transformed into a city caught between disbelief and curiosity. The headlines blared in bold black letters. Bruce Lee, 32, dies in Hong Kong. Martial arts icon gone. Newspapers, radio stations, and television crews scrambled for details, each outlet competing to capture the first account of the tragedy. Friends and fans called relentlessly, their voices trembling with shock, disbelief, or frantic questions. Linda moved through it all like a ghost, her mind fragmented, each ring of the telephone slicing through her numbness. Brandon, still 7, tried to make sense of the flurry of activity. He wandered into the living room, eyes red from restless sleep, and watched the parade of calls and messages. "Mom, is Daddy really gone?" His voice, small and uncertain, anchored Linda to the unbearable reality she had been trying to suppress. She knelt, gathering him in her arms, trying to form words that would not shatter the fragile bubble of his young understanding. "Yes, sweetheart, he's gone, but we will remember him, always." Shannon, only 4, remained largely unaware, her soft breathing a faint rhythm in the background, a fragile counterpoint to the chaotic noise that now surrounded the family. Linda carried her through the house, making arrangements, answering questions she barely had the strength to hear, and realizing that grief came not in waves but in an unrelenting flood that blurred hours into moments and moments into an indistinct haze. The public intrusion was relentless. Reporters, some polite, some intrusive, sought interviews. Studio executives demanded information, wanting statements for the press. Friends called repeatedly, seeking confirmation, seeking solace, or simply trying to understand the incomprehensible. Each conversation was a reminder of Bruce's reach out to those who had touched countless lives, yet whose loss now left each person scrambling for meaning. Amid the chaos, Linda faced the impossible task of organizing the funeral. Every decision seemed monumental: whom to invite, how to honor Bruce's wishes, what flowers to order, which family and friends would be present. Bruce's world had been vast, spanning continents, cultures, and careers. Yet she chose a small, intimate gathering: immediate family, his closest students, and a select few who had shared a genuine personal connection with him. Brandon watched, absorbing every detail he could understand. This was his first encounter with mortality, his first confrontation with absence so permanent that no bedtime story or hug could reverse it. Questions came unbidden, some too big for Linda to answer. "Why did Daddy have to die? Is he in heaven?" She whispered what she could, feeling the inadequacy of words in the face of life's sudden finality. Even as grief threatened to consume them, a strange awareness emerged. Bruce's death was more than personal loss. It rippled across the globe, touching fans, colleagues, and strangers who saw in him a symbol of something greater than themselves. And while Linda navigated the endless calls, the planning, the tears, she sensed that the days ahead, the arrangements, the funeral, the first goodbyes would be the first step in a journey of remembrance and legacy. Through the haze of confusion, through the intrusion of a world demanding answers, Linda, Brandon, and Shannon faced the impossible truth. Life would never be the same, and the first lesson of grief was in learning how to live in the shadow of absence. July 25th arrived gray and cold, an unusual chill for midsummer in Seattle. Low clouds hung over Lakeview Cemetery, and a gentle drizzle misted the rolling hills, softening the distant view of Elliott Bay. It was the kind of day that seemed to pause time, as though nature itself had bowed in respect. Linda Lee arrived first, clad in black, her hand gripping Brandon's tightly. Shannon was carried beside her, wrapped in a small blanket, her tiny face pressed against the crook of an arm. Bruce's brother, Robert, had flown in from Hong Kong, the exhaustion of travel etched into his face, yet his posture held steady, determined to honor his brother. Linda guided her children through the procession, each step a careful negotiation between sorrow and the responsibility of presence. Students who had trained under Bruce arrived quietly. Dan Inosanto, Taki Kimura, and others, their faces a mixture of grief and reverence, moved in deliberate steps. Bruce had not simply been their teacher, he had been a guiding force in shaping their discipline, their philosophy, and their lives. Each of them carried the weight of his absence like a stone in their chests, aware that no tribute could ever fully capture his influence. One by one, celebrities arrived. Steve McQueen, jaw tight and expression closed, offered only a nod to Linda, his emotions hidden yet palpable. James Coburn's eyes were already red, the grief of old friendship visible in every line of his face. Chuck Norris remained composed, silent in respect, standing apart yet unmistakably present. Together they formed a quiet guard of honor, a bridge between Bruce's public persona and the private humanity that few had truly known. The casket, dark wood with clean lines and no ornamentation, waited at the center. Inside, Bruce lay dressed in the yellow tracksuit from Game of Death, the outfit Linda had chosen because it reflected the man he had been: vibrant, alive, fully himself. The minister spoke the customary words of farewell, the cadence slow, deliberate, echoing across the cemetery's hills. James Coburn followed, speaking of Bruce's philosophy, the principle that martial arts was not merely technique, but a way of thinking, adapting, and being present, being water in every circumstance. Then a car arrived at the cemetery's edge, late, unnoticed at first. A tall figure in a dark suit moved quickly through the headstones. Whispers spread. Muhammad Ali had come. He had flown through the night from Miami, arriving less than an hour before the ceremony, straight from the airport. He did not push forward, he did not seek attention. He simply stood, a quiet presence at the edge of the gathering, radiating respect. Linda walked to him. "Thank you for coming," she said softly. Ali's voice was calm but resolute. "I would not miss it." Bruce was real. "This is where I need to be." As the service continued, prayers and tributes filled the air. Yet Ali's presence was itself a testament to silent acknowledgement that even legends grieve, that friendship demands action beyond words. When he eventually stepped forward, placing his hand on the casket, his voice spoke not as a champion or celebrity, but as a man who had loved and respected another man deeply. Every eye followed him, some wet with tears, all attentive to a moment that transcended fame. The ceremony pressed on, each gesture deliberate, each farewell measured. Linda and her children observed in quiet sorrow. Friends, students, and colleagues participated, each handful of soil thrown onto the casket a final, tangible act of goodbye. Ali lingered until the others had stepped back, then approached the edge of the grave, crouched, and let earth fall from his hand onto Bruce's resting place. "Rest easy, brother," he whispered. "You earned it." It was a day marked by grief, respect, and the profound reminder that human connection, the bond between friends, family, and students, was as significant as any title, any achievement, any record. And in that gray Seattle drizzle, the weight of loss was made sacred. Ali remained at the edge of the grave, his hand resting lightly on the casket. The weight of the moment pressed down, but he did not flinch. He was Muhammad Ali's man the world knew for his strength, his bravado, his unshakable confidence, but here, in the mist and quiet of Lakeview Cemetery, he was simply a friend, a man grieving the loss of someone extraordinary. His voice broke the silence, calm yet heavy with emotion. "I didn't know Bruce long. We met back in '66, he began. I was training for a fight and he was in the crowd. I called him into the ring. Didn't know who he was. Just saw someone who moved like no one else I'd ever seen. We sparred light at first, just moving. But I learned that day, size doesn't mean everything. Heart matters. Skill matters. Dedication matters." Ali paused, eyes scanning the small gathering, lingering on Linda and the children. "Bruce taught me about Wing Chun, about adapting, about being water. And I taught him about boxing, footwork, and distance. But here's what I learned from him that sticks with me. Most people want something from you, your fame, your money, your name. Bruce never wanted anything except to learn, to grow, to be better today than yesterday. That's rare. That's real." Tears traced quiet paths down faces in the crowd, some trying to remain composed, others surrendering to grief. Ali's own eyes shimmered, unguarded. Human. "A few months ago he called me. Said he was making a film, Enter the Dragon. Said it was going to change everything, make martial arts mainstream. Excited like a kid, you know. I told him he deserved it, that the world needed to see what I saw in him. And now, he won't see it, not yet. Not in this life. And that isn't fair. He deserved more time." He lowered his head, shoulders stooped under invisible weight. "I'm angry, yeah. Angry he's gone. His children grow up without him. Angry the world lost someone special before he was done being special. But I'm grateful too. Grateful I knew him. Grateful I trained with him. Grateful our paths crossed. For a few years I got to call Bruce Lee my friend. That's a gift." Then Ali turned to Linda and the children, voice steadier, imbued with promise. "Mrs. Lee, Brandon, Shannon, I'm sorry for your loss. But I promise you this, I will not let people forget him. I will not let his teachings die. I will keep talking about him, honoring him, making sure the world knows Bruce Lee was real, was special, was important." Linda could not speak, unable to summon words in the face of such care. Ali patted her shoulder gently, then stepped back. The service moved toward its conclusion, prayers, a few final words, and then the casket was lowered. Linda tossed the first handful of earth. Brandon followed, guided by his mother, then Shannon. Friends, students, celebrities all stepped forward in turn. Ali waited until the others had stepped back, then crouched and let a handful fall slowly onto the casket. "Rest easy, brother," he whispered. "You earned it." Hours later, on the flight back to Miami, Ali sat in quiet reflection. The day had left him raw, exposed, thinking of mortality, legacy, and purpose. Bruce's life, packed into 32 years, had already left a mark larger than championships, records, or fame. He realized his own platform, his visibility, could be used for something greater than civil rights, justice, the people who looked to him not just for entertainment but for inspiration. Bruce's death had clarified it in a way nothing else could. In the years that followed, Ali would honor this promise, faithfully checking in on the Lee family, supporting Brandon and Shannon, keeping Bruce's memory alive. The lessons of that day, the depth of friendship, the human vulnerability behind legend, and the power of commitment would remain with him forever. That was the gift of Bruce Lee, and the vow of Muhammad Ali. Two lives intertwined, forever changed by a single heartbreaking day at Lakeview Cemetery.